If your thinking don't change, there is no way the results you're trying to produce will change. If the way you're thinking does not change, now let me give you a cascade. Your thoughts produces your feelings, and your feelings produces your action, and your action produces the results that you get. So whatever you're thinking, for an example, you sit down and you now start thinking about, I don't have any money with me, I am cashless, what would tomorrow look like, what would my life be like. Now if you start thinking in that pattern, if you start thinking along that line, what do you think will happen to you? Exactly. You will now start feeling fear inside you. You will now start feeling uncomfortable. That's the same thing. Now your thinking has exposed your emotions. It has affected your emotion. Now you're now afraid. Now with that your emotions of fear, what you will now do, you will now go and act. Or maybe you might see, okay, let me go and steal, or let me go and do this, or now it has inspired that action. So your thinking produces your emotion, and your emotion affects the action you're taking. And this action now you've taken will produce the result. Is it that when you go and steal, you end in jail? Or when you go and steal, something else will happen to you? Now let me take another young man that is sitting in his own house and is also thinking in his mind, wow, how can I create the next product to employ 100 persons in my company? How can I be number one in what I'm doing? How can I be the best in what I'm doing? How can I stand out in life? How can I build big conglomerates? How can I become number one in whatever thing I'm doing? This is another man's thoughts. So what do you think will happen to this person? He will just go, and what? He will feel so much confidence. That's his emotion. He will feel so much strong. He will feel so much proud of himself. And what? He's going to stand up, and he will now start acting. He will now start looking for creative ways to produce products, creative ways to call people, creative ways to create alliance and build conglomerates. He will now go and he will start studying in that line he's thinking about. You've seen it. The thought pattern has produced your emotions, and your emotion now is now producing his actions. So he's now taking actions based on what he's thinking. Do you understand? Now he's now taking actions based on what he's thinking. Now, what do you think will be the result of that man in the next 2 to 5 years? In the next 2 to 5 years, you see that young guy being a multi-millionaire or a multi-billionaire, and you will think that, what is the difference between this young guy that is thinking positively and this other one that is thinking negatively? The same human beings but different thought patterns. That's what I want you to understand in this series, that your thinking determines your results. But it does not just come up like that. It comes as a result of what you swallow inside your mind, what you read. Now if your thoughts determines your feeling, and your feeling determines your action, and your action determines your results, the results you're getting. So where do you think you should first of all handle? It is your mind. It is your mind. It is your mind that is producing the results that you are having. So you have to now step back and say, okay, how does this mind work? Let me tell you, I will share with you how this mind works. Now, if you start exposing your mind to the right materials, you start, okay, for an example, you say you want to be the number one businessman or businesswoman in the world, or in your country, or in your local government, or whatever area you're choosing. You said you want to be the number one, and that is a goal for you. Maybe you say you want to be the number one speaker. That's a goal for you. You say you want to be the number one father, or the number one wife, or a professional. That's a goal for you. Now, what are you going to do? You will step back and you will gather materials in line with what you want in your life. You know, so many of us are so distracted that we want a particular result in our life. But if you look at what we do on a daily basis, how we expose our minds to the materials we read, to social media, what we are even doing in social media, what we are even doing in different stages in an hour, every hour, if you look at your life, it is not reflecting the results you want to see. That is where the problem is coming from. If okay, like in January, most of you people have like a goal to achieve a particular target. Now, if I ask you how far have you gone, most of us must have been very much distracted. Why? Because you've not consciously paid attention to what you are taking into your mind. You've not consciously taken cognizance of what you are reading, the people that are around you, the materials that you're exposed to, the people speaking to you, the social media where you are going to, the chat room, who you're talking to every day. Are they in line with what you want to achieve, the goals that you want to achieve? Those things are what structures your thinking. That's what I want to help you understand. They are those things that structures your thinking. The material you consume, like what you're reading every day, what you're listening every day. Do you want to be the top business person in your field, or you want to be the top professional and you're just carrying music 24 hours in a day? It is not the content. That content is not that's what you're listening to is not what will take you to that your desired goal. You have to be very articulate with what you want for your life. That's why I started from the foundation, and I insisted that your thinking creates your emotion, and your emotion creates your action, and your action produces your results. So I want to start from the foundation, which is the thinking, your thinking. Whatever that you are doing, who you are today, is a product of your thinking. What you've been doing in the past, what you've been consuming. Those are the thought patterns. Like if you stay under a particular person, for an example, you sit, okay, while I was growing up, I stayed with one of my uncle, and I loved him so much because of the results that he has produced for his life and the family. He has an excellent result. So I stayed with him, and I watched him closely, how he handles his family, how he handles his finances, the things he's doing, and I wanted to be like that. So I started modeling what he's doing, the books he read. I went to his library, a very big library, and targeted areas I want to pursue, and I started consuming that materials. I started studying, I started listening, I started researching, and I started talking to him too, and I started asking him questions. I continue asking him questions, continue asking him, sir, how did you do this? What was in your mind when you did this? Why is this like this? What do you pay attention to? I started paying attention to all those things, and within 6 months, my whole mindset changed. I started having results in line with what he was doing. That's the same thing. Whatever that you are exposing your mind to, whatever you are exposing your ears to, whatever you are exposing your eyes to, they are affecting your consciousness. You don't know. So that's why everyone that is listening to me must be very intentional. Very intentional with your life. Very intentional with the things that you're consuming. If you say you want to be a pilot, where will you go? Will you go to a medical school? No. If you want to be an engineer, which school will you go to? Engineer. And what do you do in engineering school? You study engineering materials. If you want to be a doctor, where will you go? You will go to College of Medicine. And what are you studying there? You're studying the materials in that college, in medicine, and when you come out, you become a doctor. But most of you said you want to be this and you want to be that. And if I watch your life closely, what you are doing, what you're studying is not in line. It's never in line with your goal. You spend hours on social media, and if I ask you a question, what have you been doing? And you start giving excuses. You become distracted. People are bombarding you from everywhere. You need intense focus, and you have to be very articulate about your life. Whatever you want to achieve, you have to expose your mindset to the exact body of knowledge that can help you. That's the idea. That's why I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about helping young people understand that with the amount of time they have, they can actually create the kind of life they want. Whatever kind of life you want for yourself as a young person, you can actually create it. You just have to be intentional. If you want to work in a particular consciousness, you have to start exposing your mind, exposing yourself to environments that gives you that leverage. It does not matter how much you have to start from somewhere. That's why I'm very passionate about this. Your thinking is what produces your results. So if you don't like the results that you are having now in your life, you just have to change it. And how can you change it? It's very, very simple. You have to change what you're taking in. You have to change what you're taking in. That is it. So subsequently, as I continue, I will be opening you up to some strategies and some skills that will help you. I really hope this has become very helpful for you, and you will go back and you will sit and you look at your life in depthly. You will listen to what I've said again and again. Thank you.